Hello, and welcome to this Sage 300 training video. The topic of this video is going to be inventory control adjustments. So let's begin by going to the inventory control module, IC transactions, and adjustments. Here we have the adjustment screen. The first part is going to be our adjustment number. This indicates to Sage to use the next number in sequence, and later on, once we save our transaction, it will assign the next number available, and we can see the adjustment number that will be provided. Next, we have our adjustment date and our posting date. These two can be different if you so choose. We have a description and a reference field, and then we have the opportunity for optional fields. We do not have any set up here in this sample company, but you can set up optional fields on the adjustment. By clicking into the grid, I can start my first adjustment. I can have more than one item on my adjustment, each would be a different line. The first thing I want to do is select my item number. If I know my item number, I can type it in, or I can use the magnifying glass at the header on the side, or press the F5 key to get my finder. I now want to talk about adjustment types. There are 6 adjustment types in the adjustment screen, clustered into 3 groups of 2. We have quantity increase and decrease. This will adjust the quantity and the quantity only of the item, leaving any of the existing costs as they currently are. We then have the cost increase and decrease. This will adjust the total cost of the item in the inventory module, leaving the quantity alone. Finally, we have both increase and decrease. This will adjust both the quantity and the cost, either up or down. In many cases, this is the option you want to do. So I'm going to select both decrease. So in this scenario, we're going to say, hey, maybe some items were damaged on our shelf and we need to remove them from inventory. We want to remove both the quantity in the system, indicating we can't sell those, and we need to write off the corresponding cost associated with them. The next thing we need to do is define the location that these are going to come out of. So I've got a handful of locations here in Sage, and I'm just going to select my central warehouse. By hitting the Tab key, I move over a couple fields that are not applicable to this particular item, and then I get to say the quantity. So I'm going to say maybe 2 items were damaged, and I'm going to hit my Tab key. And scrolling across here, I see that the system is proposing to adjust $43.30 out of the inventory, and that's at an average cost of $21.64, almost 65 cents. And maybe that's the appropriate amount. I'm going to go ahead and take that. However, you can change the amount that you need to write these off by. You can also change your unit of measure. So if you are writing off cartons or cases or some other unit of measure, you could say, hey, I'm going to take out 2 cartons. And that could be, a dozen eaches to a carton or some value like that. The next field on here is going to be the GL code used to expense the write-off to. So again, we're writing off, we're doing a decrease. So we're going to decrease inventory. That amount has to be sent to some other GL code for proper double entry bookkeeping. And so here we're going to say which GL account does it need to go to. Now it is defaulting to the one set up for that particular item. However, it could be changed. So by default, we're set up to use inventory adjustment and write-off, but maybe we're doing this for some other purpose. Maybe this is, maybe the items were being consumed as some part of quality control event, although perhaps you want to use internal usage for that. Maybe this was part of some larger event and you've got a special write-off account that you're putting a whole bunch of different things into to kind of segregate and isolate it for particular accounting reasons, and you don't want it part of your regular adjustments that you use for small discrepancies during your month end, during your physical inventory counts. You can go ahead and change that to any GL account in the system that allows a transaction from inventory control. Scrolling over, we do have a few other fields in here. So we can put a comments in. We have the next group of fields here, contract, project category, so on here. Those all relate to project and job costing. So if that is pertinent in your inventory adjustment, it needs to go to a certain project in Sage. In the PJC module, you can tag that information here, including the overhead amount that it needs to go to. If there was a manufacturer's item number for that item, that will appear here. And then there are the abilities, just like on the header, to have here on the details an optional field. Okay. I'm going to use my insert key to create a new line. So we can have more than one item as part of our adjustment. And I'm going to use the detail function here. And this just pops open a different view. It's the exact same data. In fact, I can browse back to my previous transaction and I can see that information right here as part of it. So I'm actually just going to go here to my next line here and say, I'm going to, in particular here, I'm going to pick a FIFO item because I want to show something in very particular here. So we're going to say both decrease and we'll say our location 1. And that's the offset bucket here. So when you are using something like LIFO or FIFO that has specific cost layers, we're going to want to decide really which cost layer are we taking the items out of. Sage defaults to an offset bucket, which could be viewed as kind of a generic layer, but that often will trip people up as over time, that offset bucket will get relieved at a time when they're not really expecting and planning for it. And they'll be like, why did this transaction get burdened with so much extra cost or so much less cost than the others? And that can be really solved by either prorating, if you really don't know which cost layer to go to, prorate it against all the cost layers, or, hey, let's take it out of a particular cost layer, a particular bucket. So I'm going to look here in the system and I can see I've got several receipts here. And I'm just going to go ahead and use my oldest one to write off a couple of units out of. So we're just going to, again, do 2 units out of here. And we can see what our cost adjustment and our average cost is. And again, I can use my finder here if I wanted to and select a particular GL account. But we'll go ahead and use our inventory adjustment line here, and we can put a comment in here, and this could just be training video. All right. The last one I want to show is on a lot or serial item. So A19. I'm going to come here to my calculator. This is a lot controlled item, but serial will work very similar. Again, I got to define my adjustment type and my location. Now, this skips over the bucket types, but here in the quantity, when I say, we'll just say 2 units again, I'm going to get a pop-up screen. So if this is a serialized, you'll get the serialized pop-up screen. And if it's lot, you'll get the lot pop-up screen. And it's going to ask me which items or which lots am I taking this out of. So again, anytime that we've got, one of these where there's we're breaking down the details from a top level to a subsidiary level, FIFO, LIFO being one type of subsidiary level, lot serial being another, Sage is going to want to know which of these subsidiary breakdowns are we taking this inventory out of, or are we putting it into? So I can say I'm taking one out of here, and I'll paste in my value, and then maybe I'll take it out of a different lot here, because we're going to take these out of 2 lots, and I have 571. So I need to make sure that one of these is off by a penny from the other one so that our total works out correct here. And I can see here I've got 2 units required that we're taking out, and I've allocated my 2, and I have 0 remaining. And same thing here on the cost. All right. And again, if I had any of these other values, I could go ahead and put them in. And I can save my transaction. Now, if I've saved it, I can still change it. I can, maybe I need to go play, ask a few questions to somebody just to confirm that I'm writing off the right numbers, maybe that I'm got the right lot or serial number on there. And then when I want to, I can come back to my transaction. I just hit the last button right here to get to my adjustment number. So you can see my adjustment number was the second one here in this sample company. And when I'm ready, I can hit the post button. Now, couple notes here, and this is true for anything in Sage. If I want to delete one particular line in here, do not use the delete button. Use the delete key on your keyboard. That will remove a single line from your detail grid. The delete button down here will remove the entire transaction. And once that's done, you cannot get it back. You have to recreate it from scratch. I'm going to go ahead and post this transaction. And I typically, well, in most cases, I actually work with people when we turn this message off so that we don't delete the adjustment after posting. I'm not a big fan of it. That's a default setup here in the sample company. So I'm going to choose no, and I'm going to, so that way I can see the adjustment later on, and I'll have it available for reference. So it's kind of a little bit of a funky message. Most of the time we have that off for most clients in most situations, but it is kind of the default setting, and that's the way it is here in this particular sample company. So I'm going to go ahead and say no. My adjustment has been posted, and then it will appear in the general ledger next time we run day end. However, the impact of it will be seen immediately in things like location details. Alrighty. Hopefully this was helpful. If you do have any questions, please reach out to us at Equation. We'd be more than happy to answer your questions. You can also like and subscribe and put comments down in the bottom underneath in the video here. All right. Thank you very much. And I'm going to wish you all a great day.